What's up YouTube, this is Giant Jump Up 3 here. I'm dedicating an entire video to Royal Bullets because it is one, my favorite power to go round 1. There's so many builds I can build off of this and I'll show those off later. But 2, it just generates so much cash and that's super important for any character round 1 going onward, right? Usually by round 6 I have all purples. And I'll explain that a little bit, but let's go over what Royal Bullets even does. So whenever you land a headshot, you deal a wound to them as well. And even if you're super far away and you like barely get their head like this, as long as a pellet hits their head, you get that wound damage.
No one can stop me.
It does scale better with weapon power as it does weapon power damage. Sorry, let me show it off here. Weapon power damage. It somewhat scales well with weapon lifesteal. And it actually does pretty badly with attack speed because if you get multiple hits in the head, it does not stack on top of it. Instead, it refreshes the timer. If you want it to stack on top, you would need to get Twist the Knife, which I don't really like, but I can see an argument for it. So you do you. There's some underrated items that do give you weapon power in the weapon options, such as Gauntlet, which I have here. But for the most part, a lot of these do actually increase your attack speed. Now, attack speed isn't necessarily bad as long as you switch the target. So shoot the tank once, shoot the support, shoot a damage. You have wounds on 3 people. The wounds now on the tank have probably like run out by now. You can shoot the tank again. That's fine. Attack speed is not horrible. Also, if the wound gets rid of all of the armor, then you're just doing regular attack speed of your gun, so that does end up being very nice. So I'm not saying never go for attack speed, but what I'm saying is just for the sake of Royal Bullets, I don't recommend attack speed. Now going back to here, we do have a survival item that does really well with Royal Bullets, which is Rebellious Spirit. When a wound gets removed instead of expiring, gain 10% of max life as overhealth up to 150. You're going to be constantly wounding them with headshots. If there's like a Kiriko, a Zarya, a Reaper, a Moira, this will trigger and you will get overhealth. Very nice, very cheap. I do like it. Now, you're already aiming for headshots, right? So, El Saka Suppressor is basically the cyber, I think it's cyber venom, right? Yeah, it is a cyber venom for weapon damage. I will say they do not stack, do not put on El Saka Suppressor while also running cyber venom. Those do not work together. If you have like a Moira running cyber venom, just don't even run this unless you really need the weapon power, which there's cheaper options. But this is an option if you need to go for it, and it lasts for those 2 seconds, so basically their entire wound duration. You will know that they're taking less, or they're receiving less healing. The Closer, you're already doing headshot damage. 10% critical damage is pretty nice on top of, you know, getting the hits. So this does a ton of extra damage. Amari's Antidote says, when healing an ally, fun fact, you are an ally, below 50% life of your weapon, deal 15% increased weapon healing, and I'll go into why this one is also super important for later builds. Superflexor. So let me actually show this one off. Let me actually remove Royal Bullets for a second, and let me apply Superflexor. Every time you get a weapon shot, you'll see in the bottom right corner, there's a stack being added up to 5. And this goes up by 1 for every time you deal an instance of weapon damage. Now let me put on Royal Bullets. I'm already at 5. I shot him 1 time and then the wound kept ticking, which counted as weapon damage. Therefore, you are almost constantly at a 25 ability power stack for 3 seconds. Or no, if you just keep shooting them. So super recommend Superflexor plus Royal Bullets. Even if you're not going a ability power build, because if you get this and you use your ult as an example, your ult is an ability power, it gets boosted. Your shouts over health gets boosted. Your Carnage or Jagged Blade hits get boosted. So just in general, as long as you're not just constantly shooting, you're pressing any other button that Queen has, you're getting benefit off Superflexor. Fantastic Flux is also just a generic nice one. It's like a cheap epic. Well, I say cheap epic, not like the cheapest epic, but it does give you just a little bit of everything. It is pretty nice. I do like it. I do recommend it. Overall, just good use. Bloodhound Mask. Now, this is where if you were going for the attack speed build, I could see this happening. Basically, anytime you shoot someone in the head, you gain more weapon power, and you end up doing a lot by the time you shoot 3. 15% weapon power plus 15 for having 3 people wounded is a lot. And especially on like control maps, or in this case, it's more like actually I guess control. That's a game mode in Stadium, but also Clash, where everyone's kind of grouped up together. This is pretty nice. Now, do I recommend going a pure weapon power build? No, but you can. I do actually have a pure weapon power build, and it does use this guy. So I will show that off later. But before I do the builds, I do want to show off the synergies of the other powers. I always go Thrill of Battle round 3. Now, you can go other things. It is not required, but let me tell you, if you go Royal Bullets and you shoot him in the head, you are getting yourself healing, like wound healing, right? Adrenaline Rush, which will then count for Thrill of Battle. Let me actually use my ult.
Time for the reckoning.
Let me spawn a ally, and let me reduce our health to super low. I am nowhere near that enemy, right? I'm gonna attach Thrill of Battle and Royal Bullets, and I'm gonna shoot them in. Yeah, let's make sure we shoot him. I'm shooting pretty slowly as well. Notice how both of our healths went up by a lot. This can also be increased if you have Amari's Antidote, which says weapon healing gets increased by 15%. So let me apply this now. Let me put us all both at 1 HP. We are healed by a ton. So, I highly recommend that, right? Let me reset the build and go like this. Twist the Knife. There is a build out there that uses Twist the Knife. Not a build I use, but a build probably. Twist the Knife does not help you get the kill. It just extends the wound. So if you're chasing someone, they will have to either out heal or like run back to spawn in order to get rid of like all of that wound, right? But there's so much cleansing in Stadium that I don't recommend Twist the Knife, because usually by the time like you get like a bunch of shots on them, they're cleansed in some way, or they're probably just already dead from this. You do get a lot of healing afterward, but I'd rather have the healing immediate. So I don't really recommend Twist the Knife, but there is a build probably out there that uses Twist the Knife. If you're going any kind of like Jagged Blade or Carnage build, or potentially even Shout build, I do recommend going Superflexor, which does buff up your weapon power, but also the ability power. And so you can go Royal Bullets into Reckoner's Roar. You can go Royal Bullets into Chop Chop. I've seen this happen. I've done it before. It's really fun. Royal Bullets into Merciless Magnetism, though, like, if you do go Merciless Magnetism, I do recommend round 5 going Let's Go Win. Royal Bullets into, I don't know about Gracie. There is a build where basically you shoot someone in the head, you Gracie throw at him, you pull him in, and then you shoot him again, and there's just a ton of damage because you could also use a Mark of Kitsune. Really helpful when it comes to using low cooldown abilities. So keep that in mind. Blood Craze is like the only one I do not recommend for Royal Bullets, because I think like if you're gonna go into Carnage as an example, right? I would rather go Soaring Stone afterward. And if I don't go, like if I do get Soaring Stone, or if I don't go Soaring Stone, I still would probably go for like Bow Down, or maybe even like Reckoner's Roar, just to kind of assert that like this is my space. If you are trying to approach me, I will shoot you first. You know, Superflexor, get up my ability power for Chop Chop, even shout a little bit maybe. I just don't see a place for Blood Craze necessarily without having already gone through everything else, and then this is like a round 7 item maybe or something like that. So going to actual builds that I like, I have Superflexor Heal Station. Basically with this one, you are going Thrill of Battle, Bow Down, and Reckoner's Roar in order to heal your entire team around you as long as you're getting any form of headshot. This increases your weapon power and ability power, uses Mark of Kitsune. You're more focused on ability power in order to get the Mark of Kitsune damage, stacked up. So basically you're going between your Jagged Blade and your shot, your Carnage and your shot, your shout and your shot, your ult and your shot, and you're just dealing a ton of damage. I have murdered Reinhardt's. Shoot him once in the head, that wound damage will chip away his armor. Then use an ability, that impact damage will also chip away at his armor, slightly reduced. But then there's extra wound there. And then Mark of Kitsune helps me demolish either the rest of the armor or the rest of the health in general. So this is more of a glass cannon-y version of what I'm going to show you next, but this will eat through someone's armor very well. Keep shooting and no one... Actually, also the build codes should be on the side if you guys need those. Keep shooting, no one dies. This is a more bulky version, and look at how much overlap there is between these two sets. The only difference is round 7, and you got to commit to one of these two. For this one as well, right? You are going Royal Bolts and Thrill of Battle in order to increase your sustainability. You should never die. Your teammates should never die. And in both of these cases, you get your ult very fast from all the damage and the healing in order to go Bow Down. In this case, this is more of a let's use Bow Down to kill the enemy. This is more of Bow Down in order to have your teammates follow up. So it really just depends. Do you have the comms? Do you have someone who's doing a ton of damage? If you have a Soldier 76 that goes an auto-aim build, go Bow Down. I recommend it. If you are going more of a you think you can do it, go for Bow Down as well. Love the two of them. You don't have to necessarily go Bow Down. You can go something like Reckoner's Roar a little bit earlier. But I do see that you get your ult pretty fast. Plus, you can also go Catalytic Crystal in order to get it even faster because you're going in between shooting and using an ability. Anti-aircraft artillery. Let me actually share a code for it just so people have access to it. Basically, there are sometimes Mercies, Freyas, Pharahs, Lucio's. Lucio's does count as part of this as well because he is in the air. Where you get one shot on like the tank or something like that. You raise up your ability power with Superflexor. Then you can shout, shoot them once, throw your knife for auto aim, pull them in, shoot them again, and you get all the Mark of Kitsune damage as well, and they should die very fast. If you're ever being overly booped by a Lucio, I do recommend Merciless Magnetism. You can also go Let's Go Win in order to get your shout more often if you can secure those kills. And then lastly, Blade Parade in order for you to do extra damage whenever you auto-aim with Jagged Blade. This does not use Royal Bolts because it is a fantasy build. This does not use Royal Bolts because it's also a fantasy build. They're not the best, but they're fun. This is also a fantasy build where I just Carnage and get a bunch of Twist the Knife. It's whatever's. Going back to Royal Bolts, though, the whole point of this video. Notice how I go Royal Bolts into Thrill of Battle again. And this one is purely a let's just do a bunch of damage with Royal Bolts from across the map kind of situation. Depending on how far or close, if it's a push map, I do recommend not going for Bloodhound Mask. But if it's like a Clash or a Control map, Bloodhound Mask puts in the work. I do have a build that also, shoutouts to Wigglytuff if anyone knows them from the Discord. This is a Shred and Lead build where it's more focused on the attack speed and the weapon lifesteal, and so you just constantly shoot someone and get a ton of quick damage on them to the point where they can't respond fast enough. You also still get a bunch of money from the thrill of battle, and it just works out very well. Now, that's all I had. Let me know if you have any questions down below. If you need the code of this workshop that I have, the code's at the very top in the middle of the screen. Thanks you guys for watching, and hopefully that helps.